The New York Knicks are dangerous. Of course, they have Jalen Brunson and Karl who are two of the best players in the league, hands down, but they also now have a very deep bench after adding in guys like Jordan Clarkson and Guerschon Yabusele. They have a ton of depth from top to bottom with guys like OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges just chilling in the starting lineup as like the third and fourth options, and they have a new coach in Mike Brown, which may be the biggest thing for this Knicks squad this year. And yeah, generally New York fans are kind of delusional when it comes to sports, but this really could be their year. So if you see your local Knicks fans walking around talking about how it's their year, you might need to take some stock into it this year, because their big four of Jalen Brunson, Karl Towns, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, everybody is back this year. That was 82% of their points per game last year. And really, when it comes down to it, that was the root of their issues last year. All of their scoring coming from those guys. So they bring in Jordan Clarkson, they bring in Guerschon Yabusele. They have a couple of young rookies and second-year guys that are expected to take leaps this year. And now all of a sudden, instead of like a 7-man rotation, 8-man if you're relying on campaign, now you have a legitimate 9 to 10-man rotation depending on some of the development of these rooks. And with guys like Jalen Brunson leading the charge, this is a dangerous team. Now, Malcolm Brogdon just bailed on him the other day. He decided to go ahead and retire. But what that means is it's probably giving that last roster spot back to Tyler Kolek, who will be back for year 2 in New York. And I've been a Tyler Kolek fan for a while. I mean, he's just a guy that seems to be able to contribute at every level that he comes to, even though he's doubted the entire time. You have Jordan Clarkson as well, who is just an absolute scorer. He's going to come in and be the spark plug off the bench for them. He averaged 16 points a game last year with 3.7 assists, 3.2 rebounds, and a steal in 26 minutes while shooting 41% from the field and 36% from 3 on 6.2 attempts per game. And he's a guy that can just score it. And that's what the Knicks really struggled with last year. The fact that they got him on a 1-year, $2.3 billion deal is high value for the Knicks. And like I said, he's a guy that can score in a phone booth. You put your best defender on him and it doesn't really matter, and that's fantastic to have coming off your bench alongside of guys like Deuce McBride, Pacom Dede, if they do end up playing him there, and then Yabusele and Mitchell Robinson on top of, like we said, Tyler Kolek, who could be seeing some minutes. But I'm really excited about the Jordan Clarkson signing. He finally gets to go to a place where he has a chance to win. He's kind of been in rebuilds for his entire career. Now he comes to New York and is seen as a key player on a team that is contending for a championship. As for Yabusele, he comes in from Philadelphia after quickly becoming a fan favorite there. And really, the Olympics revived his career, which is kind of the first player we've seen that happen to. But on a 2-year, $11 million deal, he comes back in after a brief stint in the NBA early in his career, went back overseas, and then last year, his first year back in the league, averaged 11 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 2.7 assists, while shooting 50% from the field and 38% from 3 on 4 attempts. Yabusele is a guy that, yes, he's a big dude. He's very positionless, right? He's 6'8", but he's also 284 pounds, the 4th heaviest player in the league. So he can go down low and hold his own if necessary, but he can also get out and go dunk on Denny Avdia like he does right here. He is very, very versatile, and I love that addition. Now, as for the two young guys, Dede is the guy that I think needs to take the leap this year, because at 6'9", with a 6'9" wingspan, he can legitimately play that 3 spot that they really need some help with off the bench and be a forward, whereas Yabusele is the guy down low. He can play out on the perimeter, and we know Tibbs doesn't like to play the young guys, so we didn't see much of Dede last year, but in the limited action that we did see him play, he showed us a lot. The 3-ball does have signs of life. He was able to knock it down, and I'm not saying I was the biggest fan of where they drafted Dede, but it was a very weak draft class, so the fact that you go out and take a chance on a guy from overseas, not a terrible idea. He's also got a little bit of slashing to him, getting downhill and finishing over the defense, which is tough for young guards to do in the league, and hopefully we'll see a very improved year out of him. Now, Jalen Brunson at 6'2" with a 6'4" wingspan is pound for pound probably the best scorer in the league. Now, I say pound for pound. Take that, with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean he's the best scorer in the league. That just means pound for pound at 6'2", he can score with the best of them, averaging 26 a game with 7.3 assists, 3 rebounds in 35 minutes, shot 49% from the field and 38% from 3 last year. The dude was an absolute menace. And when it comes down to the NBA playoffs, I really don't know how he does it, but you can put whoever you want on him. and they still can't stop him. He's one of the bigger playoff risers in the NBA today. Last year in the playoffs, averaged a cool 30 ball with 7 assists in 35 minutes, shot 46% from the field and 36% from three. And remember, the Knicks really felt like they should have beat the Pacers. The Pacers had a couple of insane games, like game one. They had it absolutely wrapped up, and the Knicks just completely blew it. They didn't really blow it. Aaron Nesmith came and took it from them. But in year two of the Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns pairing, I think we will see a more determined duo coming out of New York, and it definitely helps that, like we said, they have more firepower off the bench. But at 7 foot with a 7'4" wingspan, he's a guy that can change games. And when he is on, he is on. He is on with the best of them. As a post, they can score from all three levels, and he just demands the ball and demands attention from the defense when he gets going. Averaged 25 a game with 13 rebounds last year on 53% shooting from the field, 42% from three on 5 attempts a night, and is one of the best big man shooters in the league. Like, he's out there competing in the three-point contest on a yearly basis. Now, I'm not saying that makes you the best shooter in the league, but still, it's definitely something that helps. You got OG Anunoby as well at 6'8" with that 7'2" wingspan. I just love the composition of this roster, especially when you have Jalen Brunson. There's limited ways you can build a roster around a guy like that, being so short. OG, you see the numbers from last year's playoffs, leaving a little bit to be desired, but bringing in guys like OG, like Mikal Bridges, like Karl Anthony Towns, and if they're going to run two bigs with Towns and Mitchell Robinson, it's the perfect construction with these two All-NBA 3-and-D wings. Two of the best in the business when it comes to 3-and-D role players in Bridges and Anunoby. Bridges at 6'6" with that 7'1" wingspan. We talked about OG at 6'8" with that 7'2" wingspan. Ridiculous numbers from these two guys, and they can go out and guard pretty much anybody in the league and really put the clamps down like they did Cade in round one last year. 17.6 points a game, 3.7 rebounds, 3.2 assists for Bridges on 50-35 shooting splits. Not bad. Would like to see the three-point percentage up a couple of points, but again, as per usual, he played all 82 games, the NBA's Iron Man as of right now, and this is what the starting lineup could look like. Again, we could also see with the league going to more two-big lineups, we could see Cat played at the 4, which is very possible. He did it pretty much his entire time the last 4 seasons in Minnesota after the Gobert trade, and we could see Mitchell Robinson promoted to the starting lineup, or we could see a more traditional lineup like this with Josh Hart starting and then these guys coming off of the bench. And then a guy I think could really shock the world is Deuce McBride, who is coming off of a year where he was a good bench player, not a great bench player, a good bench player. He averaged 9.5 points a game, 3 rebounds, 2.5 assists and a steal in 22 minutes, and shot 41% from the field and 37% from 3 on 5 attempts. That was really his second, maybe third year of getting meaningful minutes for this Knicks team. But now that he's come on and proved that he could be a guy that can be depended on off the bench, look out for Deuce McBride this year, as I think he's going to make a real big impact. And then you have Josh Hart as well, who probably will also be coming off the bench if they stick to that two-big lineup. And Hart is, he's solid. He is just a guy that is a glue guy, right? He can go out and play the gritty minutes, get the gritty buckets. Mitchell Robinson's there as well. We love Mitchell Robinson. He's been here through thick and thin for New York. But yeah, I think this is a New York team that could be really good, and I wouldn't be shocked if they're coming out of the Eastern Conference this year. I might even pick them to come out of the Eastern Conference. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like button, leave me a comment down below, and then subscribe if you did enjoy at any point. And with that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.